Have you ever seen a father completely intimidate his daughter's boyfriend without raising his voice, without making a threat, and without saying a single word? It sounds impossible, but the stories you're about to hear prove that silence can be more powerful than any lecture. These fathers didn't yell. They didn't lose their tempers. Instead, they used patience, confidence, and a few incredibly clever tricks that left these young men speechless. By the end of this video, you'll hear the smartest silent move of them all. And trust me, it's one you'll never forget. The first story happened when a teenage boy came to pick up his girlfriend for a date. He had spent nearly an hour getting ready. His hair was perfect. His clothes were expensive. And he walked to the front door with all the confidence in the world. The girl's father answered the door with a calm smile. The boy immediately reached out for a handshake. The father accepted it without hesitation. He shook the young man's hand firmly, not hard enough to hurt him, but just enough to show confidence. Then, he looked directly into the boy's eyes for several long seconds without saying a single word. Finally, he let go, stepped aside, and allowed him inside. The entire interaction lasted less than 10 seconds, but something had changed. The boy who had arrived full of confidence suddenly became quiet and respectful. During the drive, he couldn't stop asking his girlfriend if her father disliked him. She simply smiled and said she didn't know. Years later, she admitted that her father never intended to scare him. He only wanted to remind him that confidence doesn't always come from speaking the loudest. The next father had an even more unusual approach. When his daughter's boyfriend arrived for dinner, everyone greeted him warmly. The atmosphere felt friendly, and everything seemed completely normal. But when it was time to sit down at the dinner table, something strange happened. Every family member had a chair, except the guest. The father calmly sat down with everyone else and began eating. No one mentioned the missing chair. The young man stood there awkwardly, looking around the room. After a few moments, he quietly walked into another room, found a folding chair, carried it back, opened it, and joined the table. The father looked at him for a brief moment, smiled, and continued eating. Years later, someone asked why he had done that. His answer was simple. He wanted to see whether the young man would panic, complain, or solve the problem himself. That tiny silent test told him everything he needed to know. Another young man still remembers the first time he visited his girlfriend's house. Her father was outside mowing the lawn. As he walked toward the house, he waved politely. The father looked at him for a second and continued mowing without saying a word. The young man waited patiently beside the driveway. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Then 20. The father finished one section of the lawn, stopped the mower, filled it with gasoline, and calmly started another section. Still not a single word. Finally, after almost half an hour, he parked the mower, walked past the young man, opened the front door, and went inside. A few seconds later, the daughter came outside laughing. She said her father actually liked him. Confused, he asked why her father hadn't spoken to him. She smiled and explained that when her father truly dislikes someone, he usually asks lots of difficult questions. If he stays silent, it means he's simply watching. That answer stayed with him for years. One father chose kindness instead of intimidation. When he met his daughter's boyfriend for the first time, he welcomed him inside, offered him coffee, and asked about school, work, hobbies, and future goals. The conversation was relaxed and friendly. Then, the father began complimenting. He said he seemed responsible. He said he looked honest. He said he believed he would always treat people with respect and make wise decisions. The young man smiled and thanked him, but something unexpected happened. Those compliments created a responsibility. He suddenly felt determined to live up to the image the father had described. Later, he admitted that those quiet words influenced his behavior far more than any threat ever could. Instead of fearing punishment, he wanted to earn the father's trust. The final story is perhaps the smartest of them all. A nervous teenager arrived to take his girlfriend to her school prom. He expected the traditional speech every young man fears. Instead, her father welcomed him inside with a friendly smile. Everything felt relaxed. Then, the father took out his phone, walked over, and snapped a single photograph of the young man. He looked at the picture, slipped the phone back into his pocket, and said nothing. After several awkward seconds, the teenager finally asked why he had taken the photo. The father smiled warmly and replied, "Now I know exactly who brought my daughter to prom tonight." That was all he said. No warning, no lecture, no threat. Yet the young man later admitted that those simple words stayed in his mind throughout the entire evening. He wanted to make sure the father would always remember him as someone respectful and trustworthy. These stories remind us that real confidence doesn't always need loud words. Sometimes the calmest person in the room leaves the strongest impression. A quiet smile, a thoughtful gesture, or even a few seconds of silence can communicate more than an hour of talking. The fathers in these stories weren't trying to frighten anyone. They simply wanted to make sure the young men understood one important thing: respect is earned through actions, not words. Now we'd love to hear from you. What's the smartest thing you've ever seen a father do without saying a single word? Share your story in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more unforgettable Reddit stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next